This one really broke my heart for a number of reasons. So I came across this article. You've heard me talk about death bots and, ghost bots, how people are resurrecting their lost loved ones with AI and all this other stuff. And that's intentional. And I think it's extremely dangerous. Okay. And I would caution anybody, go listen to my other episodes where I talk about it. That's when you're choosing to do it. And I've seen the destruction that it causes. The article I came across this week was of a dad who, through a notification, found out that some random user had taken the likeness of his daughter, who was tragically murdered by her boyfriend in high school, and made a caricature of her on character.ai. And he was furious, rightfully so, absolutely furious, as his deceased daughter is now, and there's a whole, and let me give some clarity before people completely fly off the rails on this. Okay. The thing on, like, no hating on character AI. I don't need people going and like blowing them up or anything like that. It's not like the avatar, the character was represented as this high school girl and she's telling her story of living on after being murdered by her. It wasn't that. And I'm not saying that to downplay the severity of this, but I don't want people hearing the headline of it and then reacting when they don't have the full story. So the full story is, it wasn't like character AI was representing this deceased girl as who she really was. But somehow the dad got a notification, goes out to it, goes, "That's my daughter. That is her likeness. That is her yearbook picture. That is her voice. That is everything about her." And it's almost like he saw his dead daughter now as an actor, I guess would be the best example I could give of it. Is like, you thought your kid died and all of a sudden you watch a movie and they're a character in the movie and you're like, what is this? How did this happen? And he's furious. I mean, he's absolutely furious because he just wants it to stop. And he goes, how can stuff like this happen? Like, how can someone without my consent or whatever take my adolescent daughter's likeness, turn it into a character? And the character, let me look at it. It was like, I think it would make me even more mad. It was like, there's this whole profile of who it was. And it was like, oh yeah, here it is. A knowledgeable and friendly AI persona and a video game journalist. But the character thing was written in the first person. And so it's written like Jennifer is the name, oh, I like to geek out on video games, technology, and pop culture. All of which he was like, that's not it at all. Like it. So this is the part where it's a little weird because I dug into it a little bit more. Well, it didn't openly state this is the girl and this is what she liked. There were unique character traits about her that this character AI had pulled into the avatar now. And so, yeah, I mean, it just made me really sad. And it made me concerned about the lack of regulations and just governance around some of this stuff and safeguards, the lack of safeguards we have for some of this. Because here the dad is already grieving at this horrific tragedy that happened to his daughter that he still hasn't fully processed. And he has moved on to try and like carry her memory on through a nonprofit he started. So he's already doing his own things to carry her forward, which one of which is not creating an AI ghost version of her to pretend she's still alive. He's actually dealing with the grief in a healthy way. And then he gets completely blindsided by somebody who decided to make something that was her and for entertainment purposes. And I'm sure if you found the person who created it, they'd say, well, I thought it was harmless. I didn't say who she was. I didn't say this was the story. Like, what's the big deal? And to somebody who might have that mentality and go, well, what's the big deal? Who's it actually hurting? Here's a perfect example. It does hurt people. Like this whole turning people into AI for entertainment purposes, it has real consequences. Now, granted, character AI, kudos to them. They quickly removed the bot. They said it violates the policy. This is not something that we want. It's not something we support. So, fortunately, this isn't like the kind of situation I talked about before where like the court journalist all of a sudden got wrapped up in something and now AI is saying he committed all the crimes that he wrote about. And he's like, what do I do? And they go, well, there's nothing we can do about it because it's not really a person that did it. But it's something that, hey, be careful. And things do have consequences. And I think one action, people can take, because I think this is going to become kind of tying to this whole theme of like not setting yourself on cruise control. I think it's going to be important that people start to, Google yourself every once in a while, see what pops up, make sure that your likeness isn't being used in ways that isn't okay or is inappropriate. If you're somebody who sees a likeness of something, I've said this before, if you see a picture of something, a video of something, slow down before you react, because this is becoming so easy to do. Clearly, like in this example, whoever created the avatar of this girl, random person creates a character, like it's that easy to do. And so to think that'll never happen to me, that'll never happen to anybody I know, that'll never affect me. Well, it might. And this dad found out the hard way, what can happen. So be careful. If you're out there, keep an eye on things of yourself and those you love, because this kind of stuff can happen. And I think we're in a whole new age of, people used to be so worried about protecting your social security number. And then it was like, well, you got to protect your email address. You got to protect your passwords. Now you got to protect your likeness. And I am guessing, if I were to make a prediction, which we'll see how long it takes, and maybe this already exists, but I'm guessing we're going to see identity protection extending to voice and likeness is going to become something that will probably kind of like, what was that service, LifeLock? Was that the guy who he like drove around with a truck with his social security number on it? Just stupid. I mean, it was a good marketing campaign. But anyway, I have a feeling we're going to see that kind of stuff where it's like, well, you want to protect your likeness, you want to protect your voice, your image, your, all this other stuff, so that it doesn't get used like that. But right now, there's not a whole lot of regulation around it. There's not a whole lot of rules. There's not a whole, so you're only going to be able to fix it when you catch it. And so keep your eyes open, keep your ears open, be on the lookout for this stuff. And if you're somebody who thinks this is harmless or you would just do it with entertainment, can I just challenge you right now? It's not. Don't. It's not funny. It's not cute. It's not, harm, it doesn't hurt anybody. It's all just for fun. It's not. And real people do get hurt, and it affects people in ways you may never, ever predict. And the other thing, while this may be a pseudo happy ending because he just contacted them, they took the bot down, I've seen plenty of stories already where the ending does not end that happily under normal circumstances. And so you may cause a lot more damage than you even intended. So please, please don't. All right.